just said you're a descendant of King Solomon. Now, is your first name's not King? Is it King?
No, Ben.
Ben.
I named myself King once I found that out.
The F students are inventors. They're so fucking creative that they couldn't sit in class. They couldn't listen because whatever people were trying to put in their head, they knew it was fucking bull.
You know what? This shit, bro. What are you talking about?
At first, King Azoule just looked like another cringeworthy internet fraud. You already know the type. A guy who rents flashy cars, films himself acting rich, talks down to everyone, gives fake manly advice, and tries to convince insecure boys online that he has all the answers to life.
That you would never, ever, ever talk shit if you were here in front of me. You'd your pants.
I'm not an Instagrammer. I'm not an influencer. I'm not a social media guy.
He copied the same formula we have seen 100 times before. Fake alpha male energy, fake business success, fake deep wisdom, fake dangerous stories, and endless bragging about how feared, respected, and powerful he is.
Back then too, I was 21 years old when I built my first house in Studio City. We bought the property for $1.2 million. It cost me $800,000 to build the house. We sold it for $4 million. That's a $2 million profit.
But Ben took it even further. This man didn't just lie about being rich and successful. He built an entire character around unbelievable stories, fighting mobs.
I'm not gonna mention his name, but we're talking somebody from the mob. And I started doing underground fights for him.
Training with Shaolin monks.
After many years of training, and I trained all types of martial arts, I was training my fists, my elbows, my knees, and my shins.
Working secret government jobs and living like some untouchable action hero.
Do you have experience in counter?
For about a decade. I was almost multiple times.
But when people started fact-checking him, what they found wasn't just pathetic, but truly horrifying. He had been accused of a 15-year-old girl.
After I went over his criminal case and showed everybody what him and his up brother and their friend did.
Because the man behind the King Azoule persona wasn't just a liar. He was hiding a past so disturbing that it completely changed the way people looked at him forever. So let's get into it and take a closer look at King Azoule's personal life and his social media presence. Starting with the moment King Azoule actually claimed to be the descendant of King Solomon. And it is the only reason that he keeps King in his name. But that's not all. He also claimed that King Solomon's wisdom was passed down to him. This tells a lot about why he tries to make himself appear as a fake know-it-all man who is better than everyone else.
And you just said you're a descendant of King Solomon. Now, is your first name's not King? Is it King?
No, Ben.
Ben.
I named myself King once I found that out. And then I grew my beard. And I realized I have his wisdom.
It was passed down?
It was passed down 100%. I felt something for a very long time.
King Azoule revealed this in one of the podcasts named The Road to Wealth, a story of resilience and success. King Azoule, hosted by Bradley TV. As King Azoule made these serious claims, the host couldn't help but ask him if he could confirm the connection. That was when the whole thing took a ridiculous turn. It was none other than his last name and DNA that confirmed that he was, in fact, the descendant of King Solomon.
Well, they say King Solomon was one of the wisest and technically the richest man that ever lived.
The smartest man, the wisest man.
Do you know a lot about him?
Quite a bit.
How do you know you're related to him?
Well, we went back through my last name and then looked at my DNA and found out that I'm a descendant of his. He had 1,000 wives.
The host was confused about his claims because King Solomon had 1,000 wives, but King Azoule came up with another comical reason. He said he was from Morocco, and if one actually goes back in time, they can tell he was from Solomon's lineage.
But how would your DNA tell him?
No, if you go back with my name and you check the DNA that I'm really from Morocco, you go back in time, you can know, because it comes through tribes.
So basically, at some point, old King Solomon got down with some lady who ended up having somebody who got down with somebody who blah, 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 and eventually,
down to us.
Yeah, here you are.
But that's not all. It wasn't enough for him to claim that he was a descendant of King Solomon. He ended up declaring that he was from the royal family.
So Azoule was a royal family. There was Azoule and also Cohen, but we stepped down from royalty.
The conversation then shifted to the meaning of his real name, Ben Azoule. He told the host that his name, Azoule, stands for a dirty woman whom he wouldn't take as a partner. What he wants is a virgin, because it is a serious matter for him.
The name Azoule, what it stands for, a woman that is dirty and I will not take. That is what it stands for.
Well, then I'm Azoule too.
So I have to be with a virgin. I have to, like, it was very serious, you know. So we stepped down from that because it became almost impossible. But we were a royal family.
To keep it simple, Azoule never really answered the host's questions or gave any solid proof for his claims. He couldn't prove he was related to King Solomon, but he kept insisting that he was. And somehow that wasn't even the most embarrassing part. King Azoule is also known for sharing stories that many people believe are completely made up, especially about his childhood. In one of these stories, he talks about moving to America as a young kid who couldn't even speak English. He claimed that when he was just 10, he started visiting a Chinese restaurant often, and that's when his life started to come around. According to Ben, the restaurant owner fell in love with him and maybe saw some potential in him. This led the owner to teach Ben Kung Fu because Ben was a special kid. Ben describes how he would go there after school and the owner would even clear out the restaurant, moving all the tables just to teach him.
When I was younger, when I arrived to the US, I started eating at a Chinese restaurant right across the street from our apartment building. The owner was, for me, Master Chef. Eventually, the owner fell in love with me and said, "Kid is special. He really is." And I would come to him, and before I would eat, he would move all of the tables and he would teach me Kung Fu. I was 10 years old. So I learned how to move with the Kung Fu.
That sounds familiar. It's because it's almost identical to the movie The Karate Kid, where a young boy is trained by a mentor after being bullied. Ben basically puts himself in the role of that main character. But even when he learned Kung Fu from this Chinese restaurant owner, it didn't help him much. He went on to tell another story about how he was attacked by 30 men at once when he was 13 at a house party.
I was 13 years old. I got jumped by about 30 guys outside of a house party.
After that, he says he was so shaken that he somehow got access to a weapon to protect himself in the future. Then, according to him, he later fought and defeated 6 people, which led to an even stranger twist. He claims that during that fight he impressed a mob boss, who then became close to him. The mobster eventually offered him a job as the boss's bodyguard, and young King Azoule accepted the offer quickly. But this is where it all gets a lot more interesting. On one hand, Ben talks about having a good and successful childhood. On the other hand, he describes it as painful, difficult, and full of struggle. These two versions don't match at all, and that's what makes people question everything he says.
And he goes, "I'm not gonna what's your name?" And I said, "What the f are you to ask me my name?" I said, He said, no. I want you to be one of us. And we got in a conversation, and when he found out I was 15, he was shocked. I'm not gonna mention his name, but we're talking somebody from the mob. And I started doing underground fights for him. I also was his bodyguard for a while.
He once shared in an interview that he had become homeless at some point and had to clean carpets for a living. Most interestingly, Ben even went to jail at the age of 17 to 18, but he never disclosed the real reason behind his time in prison.
My dad didn't like the way my attitude was, so he kicked me out at 17. And I was on my own, and, you know, being homeless for a little bit. Then after that, I found myself and started doing carpet cleaning. And then I went back to doing some fights because I needed the money. And after that, I got arrested. I got arrested for something that they said that I did, and I didn't do it. And when I got out, all clean, after I spent a little bit of time in jail.
As he got older, Ben claims his life started to improve. He says he eventually traveled to China and met with the Shaolin monks. Soon enough, he started to train with them at the temple. But this raises a big question. How was he able to travel abroad at such a young age if he was struggling with poverty? His stories become even more questionable when he talks about the training itself. Ben later shared that the monks told him to hit his shins with hammers regularly if he wanted to make them stronger. But in reality, this is extremely dangerous advice. Doing something like that can seriously injure your bones. Instead of making you stronger, it can cause bruising, fractures, and long-term damage, especially since the shin bone doesn't have much protection. It might not make you the strongest, but instead give you a serious bone bruise, periosteal contusion, or even fracture because there is no protective muscle on the tibia, which is the second largest bone of your lower leg. In that case, you won't be able to continue your Kung Fu training, but start your physiotherapy to make things right. But wait, there's more. Ben's monks also told him to do something even worse. They asked him to ram his skull into the wall for long hours every single day, because that's the way he can double his skull's strength.
I went and traveled to China and trained with some Shaolin monks, and they explained to me that the strongest part of the body is actually your skull. And if you train your skull for about an hour a day,
against the wall, after a year it becomes 4 times thicker than it really is, which means that you become unstoppable.
This is another wrong and false claim by Ben. Skull is not the strongest, but one of the strongest bones. The strongest bone is the thigh bone, and if you hit your skull into the wall for hours, just like Ben did, it can give you life-threatening injuries, immediate traumatic brain damage, and even long-term neurodegenerative conditions. And in the other cases, you can even get a skull fracture, which can lead to fatal bleeding. And after learning Kung Fu and making himself stronger than ever, Ben was able to beat 5 Mexican guys in his school bathroom. It seems that Ben likes to see himself recreating movie scenes, especially the Karate Kid and other action movies.
One day, there was 5 Mexican dudes trying to jump me in the bathroom. I beat the shit out of them. When I left school, the following day, I came back. As I was leaving school, they came and they started shitting me. So, it started getting more violent.
But his stories don't stop there. He once shared another strange moment from when he was just 10 years old. When his father took him to the doctor, he revealed something ridiculous. The doctor asked Ben's father if he was giving him steroids.
When I was 10, my dad took me to the doctor and he was like, "What did you do to this kid? Are you giving him steroids?"
Yes, you heard that right. His father supposedly explained that Ben was constantly working out, doing push-ups and pull-ups, which made him look unusually strong for his age. Again, there's no proof for any of this. These stories come across more like exaggerations than real events.
He's like, "No, the kid doesn't stop lifting things, doesn't stop doing pull-ups, push-ups. So I don't know what to do with him."
However, there is one part of his story that seems more believable, and that's his relationship with his father. Ben describes his father as someone harsh and physically violent. According to Ben, his father was a rough guy who gave him morning kicks in the head as Ben woke up. According to Ben, this is what made him mentally and physically tough.
So for me, looking back and thinking about the stories that I had with my dad, and my dad was a very tough guy. I mean, I'd wake up in the morning, with kicks to the head.
He also shares a controversial opinion based on this. He claimed that fathers like his don't exist anymore. Today's fathers don't let their kids or talk down to them, which ultimately produces weaker men. And weaker men are like iPhones, which when they fall once, break apart.
If you had a dad like that, go thank him, because those dads don't exist anymore. And that's the reason men today are weak.
Ben says he was basically his father's punching bag growing up, and that this is why he learned to defend himself at such a young age. He even claims that he became a black belt by the age of 10.
But I was sure a punching bag from time to time. But I could tell you that that's what toughened me up, because I'm also a tough soul. You can't really break me, you'd have to me. There's no way of breaking me. I'm not afraid of no man, and I'm not afraid of anybody.
And we don't really know how and when he got access to karate classes at such an age, especially with the strictness and poverty. Ben's karate championship and resilience reportedly paid him back. At the age of 13, according to Ben's claims, he fought back with his father.
Yeah.
Because my dad was a strong man and very tough on us, with me he also used hands.
Yeah.
So I always fought back.
Since his father was physically abusive, Ben couldn't take it anymore. One day he attacked Ben with a wooden stick. Ben claimed that he held his dad's hand, broke the stick, and pulled it out of his dad's hand. But what happened next was totally out of the box and unbelievable. Ben picked his dad up in his hands and threw him on the coffee table. But realistically, no matter how strong a 13-year-old is, lifting and throwing an adult man like that on their own is extremely unlikely. Stories like this make people question how much of what he says is actually true.
From that point on, my dad knew he couldn't take on me. I was 13. He picked up a wooden stick and he went it over the head, and I did this and it broke. And then I took it out of his hand, picked him up and threw him on the coffee table. That's the beauty, that we are actually superhuman.
Ben Azoule, born on May 11, 1990, is an Israeli-American social media personality. Now in his mid-30s, Ben is nothing but someone with plain show-off, fake wisdom, and fake alpha strength. Flaunting about the same, Ben has built a presence on platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, gaining hundreds of thousands of followers.
I was born in the United States, but my mom brought me here through Mexico so she could have me here so I could have a US passport. Then we went back to Israel. And the reason is because one of my uncles, him and his brother, used to work with Pablo Escobar.
He has made his presence known across different platforms, including TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. He has around 549,000 followers on his Instagram and 331.6 thousand followers on his TikTok. He creates one short out of his attended podcasts, makes an edit out of it using stock videos, and then shares it all across his social media pages. One of his most shocking stories is about his family. According to him, when he was born, one of his 2 uncles was murdered by Pablo Escobar. Pablo Escobar was a famous Colombian drug lord, narco and politician. He was also the founder and leader of the Medellin cartel. He is also known as the King of Cocaine because his cartel used to control 80% of the international cocaine trade in the 1980s and early 1990s. Now Ben claims that his uncles worked with Pablo and supplied drugs for him. While making one such deal, they decided to keep the money from the drugs they sold. Pablo, according to Ben, was someone who liked to trust his men because he knew no one could steal from him. But his uncles became greedy and ripped him off, and as expected, Pablo didn't spare them.
Some of my family members were kidnapped by Pablo Escobar, and one ended up getting and the other one was released. There were two brothers. One brother was found that he was stealing from Pablo and told him that the Beverly Hills Police Department took some of the drugs. Pablo didn't believe it.
Both of them were kidnapped by Pablo, but one of them somehow got released, but the other one suffered the worst fate. Ben revealed that one uncle was by Pablo at least 2,000 times. Yes, you heard that right. It wasn't 20 or 200, it was 2,000 bullets that took his uncle down. This is something not even a crime thriller movie would show as a climax. Stories like this are so extreme that they raise serious doubts. His fight stories aren't the only worst thing to exist. If we look back on Ben's background and history, it will stop you in your tracks. In the early 2000s, Ben and his brother Dylan Azoule were hosting a party at their house alongside other friends. During that time, Ben, his brother, and his friend crossed serious boundaries with a 15-year-old girl. Since the party involved alcohol and drugs like marijuana, people were highly intoxicated, including that girl. That was when Ben decided to take advantage of her. Ben started the act, and then his brother and friend Mayor took turns on her. At the time, Ben's parents were not at home, but when they returned, they failed to do anything. They didn't even stop the party. It seemed as if they were least bothered by it. They even witnessed Ben's friend girl in the backyard, but still didn't intervene to stop. Supervision of defendants David and Rachel Azoule and Stephen in permitting these heinous acts to occur has suffered and continues to suffer extreme physical and emotional damages. On the way, Ben and Dylan took the girls to a liquor store, where Ben and Dylan used a fake ID to purchase alcohol, which they later provided to girls. Later that night, around 5 a.m., the girl managed to call her parents and ask them to pick her up. When they arrived, she was reportedly in a very bad condition, highly intoxicated and vomiting. Her parents took her home and dialed 911 immediately to report the unfortunate event. The emergency team responded, and the girl was taken to the hospital. There she was examined by a trauma nurse, who quickly confirmed that the girl was indeed. However, if we look at the major expose video made by John Bravo Films on YouTube, things start to make sense. According to the case report, King Azoule didn't just take advantage of this 15-year-old. He and his brother did the same to other underage girls as well. However, that girl didn't let it go. She sought help from the law enforcement and filed a case against Ben, his brother Dylan, and their friend Mayor. All of them were eventually arrested and put behind bars. Despite this, Ben later tried to downplay the situation, suggesting that his time in jail was simply due to his personality or lifestyle, not because of any serious wrongdoing. On the other hand, Ben later released a response video addressing these allegations, but instead of directly addressing the details, he told a completely different version of events. The video started with Ben comparing himself with famous people like Donald Trump, soccer players, Andrew Tate, and other famous individuals. In short, he mentions all the famous people who have been accused of the same as he was at the time.
Almost every big actor, celebrity, politician, influencer, you name it, they have came out and said things about them. Because it is so easy to say something about a man and then come back with a big lawsuit.
He makes it sound like he is one of the top-tier famous people. According to him, the girl and her family were only after money. He claimed they filed a $50 million lawsuit against him and his parents for that reason. He then shared his own version of what happened that night. He claimed that the girl was equally involved with him, and that everything happened with consent. She was there by herself, no one forced her. He even claimed that she was the one approaching people and asking to hook up. He added that neither he nor his brother was interested in her. Their friend decided to go ahead.
You see, she said that she was a freshman in college. She had a few drinks. We all had some drinks. Everybody was fine. Everybody was cool. Nothing like that ever happened. This girl was very adamant about getting somebody to hook up with her.
Ben then asked the girl and his friend to do everything on the couch so everyone could see. According to him, it didn't last long, and afterward the girl continued sitting with the group as if nothing had happened.
And I told him, you guys cannot go in my house. If you want, you guys could do it here. So they tried it in front of everybody. And then next thing that happened was, it didn't work for him. So a few seconds after, they stopped. And they were just sitting down and hanging out with us.
He also claimed that she later said goodbye to everyone and left with the same person, who dropped her off at home. The next morning the police showed up and Ben, alongside his brother and friend, was arrested. But right after a small session of interrogation, Ben claimed the police released him and his brother.
When we wake up in the morning, I hear cops knocking on my door, saying you're accused of rape. They arrest me, and they arrest my 14-year-old brother.
When the court proceedings began, Ben came up with strange, hard-to-believe stories. He claimed that the judge conveyed a message to him through a lawyer. According to Ben, the judge said that $50 million was a huge amount and that the situation wasn't very serious. He said the judge suggested that if he spent 30 days in jail, the lawsuit would be dropped. The lawsuit was directly connected to Ben's parents' house and their insurance, which could have seriously affected them. To end the lawsuit, Ben had to plead guilty to charge code 288, which meant he was involved with a minor. But here's the twist. This was all a made-up lie. According to the record, Ben's criminal case happened in 2008, but the lawsuit that Ben was talking about happened in 2010, 2 years later. And the reality is that criminal and civil lawsuit cases are quite different. They have different judges, different juries, and they are managed independently. So it was proved that Ben was indeed lying about everything. Ben didn't lie in court, but he did admit what he had done. He was tried as an adult at the age of 18 and was convicted of violating California Penal Code, Section 288 AAB2, oral copulation with a minor.
So let's just take that charge, which is meant taking a plea deal, and just not go all the way to trial. Tell them that you didn't know, because if you didn't know, it doesn't take you away from the crime. It doesn't matter. You admitted it. You should have kept your mouth shut. So I did. I took the plea deal, and here I pulled it up for you so you could see what it means. That doesn't mean that I took a lesser charge. That only means that I pretty much agreed to whatever they wanted from me, and I was done with it.
On the other hand, Dylan Azoule, the brother, was convicted as a juvenile of violating Penal Code Section 261A3 of an intoxicated person, and may or somehow escaped justice and conviction. Years later, Ben ended up making a video about a judge and a lawyer going to hell for lying up front.
3 people that go to hell no matter what. A judge. Why does a judge go to hell? Because he judges you. Who is he to judge me? There's a God up there. He's the only one who could judge me. A lawyer. Why does a lawyer go to hell? Because he constantly has to lie. And a doctor. Why does a doctor go to hell? Because he decides if you live or die.
However, that wasn't the end of Ben's behavior. More people started coming forward. According to reports, other young girls had similar experiences, and some of them shared their stories, claiming that Ben had been lying and twisting the truth to protect himself. What he was telling online didn't match what actually happened. Then things took an even darker turn. King Azoule reportedly tried to change his last name. He tried to go from Ben Azoule to Ben Aston. Many believe this was an attempt to distance himself from his past. He was scared that people would dig up information about his disturbing history, and he didn't want that. However, the court denied his request because there was still an active case and warrant connected to him at the time. And there's more. According to John Bravo's video, a woman came forward with more disturbing details. She was the ex-girlfriend of Ben, and she had medical reports showing that she had multiple physical injuries while she was in a relationship with Ben. John also said that Ben has a kid in the Midwest with a woman who has full custody of the kid. But the shocking part is that the mother has a restraining order against Ben. And at this point, it's not hard to understand why she might have felt the need to have such a court order against him. Ben's behavior is very predictable when it comes to women. Despite all this, Ben continues to present himself online as a wise, successful man who understands women and life. He talks about values, relationships, and what kind of partner he wants. But his past tells a very different story. Another former partner also spoke out, revealing that many of his stories about fighting, kung fu, and his past experiences were completely made up. She confirmed that the image he presents online is far from reality, and like others, she also claimed to have suffered lasting harm during her time with him. And this wasn't the only thing that exposed the gap between his words and reality. Ben's so-called strong and fearless image seemed to fall apart even more when people from his past started sharing their experiences. One of his old acquaintances from school revealed an incident from when they were both around 13 years old. According to him, they got into an argument that turned physical. As a result, Ben ended up getting hit by him, and what happened next was more embarrassing than anything else. Rather than fighting with the kid, Ben ran off crying with a bloody nose. This image directly canceled Ben's imaginary tough guy persona. The acquaintance went on to explain that they were in the same school, and Ben didn't really have many friends. He was usually seen spending his time alone around the school. He would try to rap and beatbox near the vending machines. One day, someone told him to stop because it was annoying. When Ben asked who said it, it turned out to be the same person telling the story.
Said, "Hey, who said that?" And me, I had this girl that I was crushing on. Her name was Courtney. So, Courtney was standing there, and I raised my hand and I said, "Me, I said it." So he walks over to me And, you know, he was like 2 grades above me. So he was bigger than I was. This is before I hit puberty too. I was a little scrawny kid. He walks over to me and gets in my face. And I remember his nose was right here. And I took a step back and I jabbed him in the nose, thinking I'm gonna get my kicked right now. What happened next definitely surprised me. Instead of fighting back, he started crying. Full out started crying, bawling tears, and then ran towards the office.
The same person also recalled the 15-year-old girl's incident. He remembered the girl as a cheerful and lively person.
So about H, it really breaks my heart, because after this happened to H, it changed the girl, and as it would change anybody. I remember one day at school, by the cafeteria, she was wearing her cheerleader's outfit, and I just saw her break down in tears, and the sadness on this girl's eyes, and her energy was just so sad.
He recalled seeing her at school one day, crying uncontrollably. She was so overwhelmed that staff members had to step in and take her away. After that, he never saw her at school again. These accounts only made Ben look like a real-life clown with PDF behavior.
She just completely broke down in tears, bawling, sobbing. And I remember her friends came, her friends came to, comfort her. I remember the dean of the school, the nurse, and a few staff members, they came because she was hysterically just bawling her eyes out.
When more people started to make videos of Ben's disturbing behavior, Ben couldn't take it anymore. He attempted to take down much of the expose content online. He filed privacy complaints against people who exposed him and asked them to remove the videos. But he forgot the part that all of his case documents were public. This meant people were legally allowed to access, discuss, and present them, making it much harder for him to silence the conversation. Following the exposure by John Bravo, things escalated even further. John Bravo made another video. In the video, John said that Ben had been acting in a defensive way life because of criticism. He failed to deny the accusations in a clear way and instead chose to deal with them through intimidation. John further told his audience that Ben had been trying to convince some podcast hosts to invite John so he could have a word with him there, but John refused these invitations, making it clear he wasn't interested in turning the situation into drama.
One in particular, and we know who he is, who started this. I'm taking care of him a little bit differently.
Well, behind the scenes, he's been reaching out to podcast after podcast, big or small, it doesn't matter, because he wants me on so he can get some clout. But it didn't work because I said no to everybody.
When that didn't work out, Ben ended up inviting John to a cage fight, and it was all because he wanted to deal with it in a dramatic manner, where he could get attention from the public. But once again, John turned down his request.
And because of that, now his plan is to challenge me to a cage fight. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, what does he want? Me to be the 31st man he off? Get the f*** out of here.
This reaction says a lot about how Ben sees himself. He thinks of himself as someone superior. He publicly claims that people are jealous of him because he is successful and has everything a man can dream of. However, all of his popularity comes from his controversies. People aren't following him because they look up to him, but because they're questioning and exposing him. A large number of YouTubers have already made detailed documentaries on his history, and thus he became well known. And even after this popularity, he isn't able to gain a lot of views on his YouTube videos. Despite having around 480,000 subscribers on YouTube, most of his videos struggled to cross even 10,000 views. At 17, I was homeless due to a rough childhood. I ended up in jail and thought my life will never change due to my circumstance. His content reflects the same pattern. While his bio talks about a rough childhood and a difficult past, the engagement on his videos tells a different story. The highest amount of views he got was on a video titled King Azoule and Jerka, Blackout Podcast. It is 2 years old video and has 153,000 views on it. His latest videos, however, have less than 10,000 views, and almost all of them have their comments turned off, except for one video, which managed to get 13,000 views, fighting 30 haters, including Nice Guy Ali, and they still couldn't take me out. But even there, the comments weren't supportive. Instead, people used the comment section to call out his past and question his claims. Some of them even talked about how he had only a few hundred views, while having 100,000 subscribers. So you have 486,000 subscribers, yet only 880 views after a day and a half. Bro, you're so fake. Others kept making fun of him, calling him prom queen or the biggest joke ever. The this guy is amazing. He's like the joke of prom and thinks he's the queen of prom. Ben Azoule is literally the biggest joke on all YouTube. The comment talking about his claims about working in counterterrorism sounds about right. King Azoule had claimed multiple times that he had worked with agencies that hired him to deal with the in different countries, but he avoids giving any real details by saying people wouldn't understand, or that he can't talk about it. While being on a podcast, he was asked where he had worked in counterterrorism by the host.
France. I have to go catch him in France. I can't speak about this. Matter of fact, I'm not supposed to speak about it for at least another 5 years.
Ben said he was hired in Israel and the United States. However, he fails to mention the specific organization he worked for, as both countries have designated organizations to deal with terrorism. In Ben's case, his claims stay very vague. He says he worked with major agencies, but when asked to name even one organization, he shuts the conversation down by saying he can't talk about it. He then takes it even further. He further claimed that you have to train for it for over a year, then travel to 80 countries. He claims he personally traveled to all these places, dealing with terrorists. In his version of events, if there was a anywhere in the world, like in France, he would be sent to track the person down and handle it himself, even risking his life in the process.
Heard of. All you do is you go on missions. That's why I've been to over 80 countries.
His delusion doesn't stop there. He also makes strong claims about his fighting abilities. According to Ben, when he punches someone, his fist goes straight through the other person's head. Here he meant to compare himself with legendary fighters like Bruce Lee and Mike Tyson. But he is way past that too. The way he describes punching someone is beyond reality. Even the greatest fighters in history have never shown anything like that.
Wow. Can 100 men take down one gorilla?
100 men? I don't know. But one Ben? Most definitely.
His senseless talks aren't limited to boasting about his success all the time. Ben is also a professional when it comes to explaining the reasons behind his fake success.
All you need is to think about an idea that 1 million people need, and you become a millionaire overnight. Thomas Edison, Salvador Dali, they used to sit down on a chair. When they sit down on a chair, they darken the room. You will fall asleep very quick. They would hold metal balls and they would put metal plates around them. When they fall out of your hands, you wake up. When you fall asleep, your soul leaves the body, goes to a different world called the quantum realm. That's where you can grab ideas and make them into the physical reality.
Ben claims he is extremely rich and knows how to change people's lives, but when it comes to actual advice, he only repeats very basic ideas. Instead of explaining real steps to succeed, he tells young men things like taking cold showers to deal with problems like depression or to become smarter.
Most people I tell them to take a cold shower because they hate the ice. But if you do what you hate, you actually unlock different genes in the brain that allow you to get smarter, better, stronger.
He even shared a personal moment when he said he felt very low after losing custody of his child. According to him, the only thing that helped was waking up and immediately taking a cold shower, which he claims pulled him out of that state quickly.
Someone messaged me and said he's depressed. Let me tell you how I got over depression. When I felt sad, when I went through a heartbreak, when I lost my son, when I got left on the streets. Very easy. First thing you do when you wake up, go and hit a super cold shower. Believe me, you won't find any depression there.
Similar to many other fake alpha influencers, Ben follows the same route. He talks about his success without talking about what business made them a lot of money. So it is basically just their influencer money that they boast about. This also connects directly to the image he tries to build online. King Azoule likes to puff cigars, take pictures with exotic cars, and show off his steroid-enhanced cleavage in front of the world. He keeps a long beard to lend a spiritual touch to his appearance, and his tatted arms shows his dominant side. But over time, cracks started to show. It turned out that King Azoule's exotic cars didn't even belong to him, but he kept flexing them as if he were the real owner. Allegations surfaced that he rented or borrowed luxury cars from different people, but the shocking twist is that he might also have been living in a rented house. But there's even more to share about King Azoule. It's not just about fake wealth or exaggerated success anymore. Ben also started influencing younger audiences with questionable ideas. King Azoule became famous for his opinions on students' grades and how they work. One specific line, "F students are inventors," especially became popular and eventually turned into a meme template. His entire video sounded ridiculous, particularly when he graded students based on their academic performance. He values inventors or people who are true entrepreneurs over 9-to-5 corporate job holders. He thinks that corporate jobs should be avoided at all costs. To spread this baseless message, King Azoule made a detailed video in which he talked about all the grades and students who achieve them. According to him, A-grade students get into corporate jobs and follow instructions well. B-grade students become managers, C-grade students become business owners, and D-grade students are somewhere between inventors and business owners, because they don't know how to start or what to invent.
If you're a young boy and you're in a situation where you're an F student, let me tell you something. You got a bright future, buddy. You see, an A student is the perfect employee. He works for me and he does his job perfectly. A B student, that's my manager. And managers are great, but they're always going to be managers. The C students, now those are business owners. Then you got the D. D is between a business owner and an inventor. It's someone that owns a business but truly wants to invent something, he just doesn't know how to do.
And then he mentions the much-awaited F students, who according to him are more talented than A graders. F students are so creative that they cannot even adjust to the school system. Here Ben completely ignores the fact that every student learns differently. Just because one student struggles in school doesn't automatically mean they are secretly a genius or an inventor. Sometimes it simply means they need better support or a different way of learning.
Then you got the F students. The F students are inventors. They're so fucking creative that they couldn't sit in class. They couldn't listen because whatever people were trying to put in their head, they knew it was fucking bullshit.
In general, King Azoule disregards the importance of education, and he clearly didn't get the right education himself, which is why his medical opinions are always wrong. For example, the time when he said that your skull in a wall can make it stronger because of microfractures. In reality, this is extremely dangerous and can lead to serious head injuries or even long-term brain damage. Now, the F students are inventors became so viral and popular that high school students started breaking their Chromebooks. King Azoule had posted this video in the mid of April 2025, and it became viral at the start of May. Within a month, the video received over 116,200 likes. King Azoule then posted the same video on his Instagram page as well. There, it got 236,700 likes in just a month. Soon people started using his voice as a trend, but instead of taking it seriously, most users turned it into a joke. They created ironic, funny videos that showed ridiculous inventions to mock the idea.
You know what they say, the F students are the inventors, the C students are getting fish ponds on their heads, and the A students are putting the fish ponds on the heads of the C students.
And then you got the F students. The F students are inventors. They're so fucking creative that they couldn't sit in class. They couldn't listen because whatever people were trying to put in their head, they knew it was fucking bull.
That edit included videos of students doing something even more concerning, damaging their school Chromebooks. Many of them inserted pencil graphite into the charging ports, causing sparks and smoke, all while using captions like 0.5 GPA activities. What started as a meme quickly turned into a harmful trend, with more and more students copying it in classrooms. This brings us to the end of this documentary. King Azoule continues to post the same kind of content even today, filled with bold claims, exaggerated stories, and the same alpha male image he has been trying to build from the start.
Tough time creates strong men. Strong men create easy time. Easy time create weak men. That's a cycle. In order to stop that cycle, you have to push yourself to the highest of limits. Your physicality and your mentality are linked.
If you enjoyed watching this documentary, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let us know who you'd like to see featured in the next video. Most internet trolls stop trying to shock people once they hit a certain age, but for Eric, known online as Vamp Daddy Evil, the search for online attention only got darker. He built an online brand around a gothic, youth-obsessed persona, using extreme rage bait and edgy humor to stay relevant. But what Eric calls satire and dark humor, the internet calls a pattern of manipulation, predatory behavior, and dangerous red flags. This is the breakdown of an internet personality who crossed the line from being a cringeworthy troll to a genuinely dangerous online figure. Eric, whose last name has been reported as Greyon across multiple platforms, first gained traction on TikTok in early 2023 by posting fitness content and videos about the gothic subculture. His early content was not particularly alarming, just gym clips, dark aesthetics, and a few opinionated captions about right-wing politics that drew predictable criticism from the alternative community he was supposedly a part of. Then he gained prominence, and his following grew substantially. The gothic and emo subculture already trends heavily toward a left-leaning and LGBTQ inclusive politics. So Eric's posting TikToks, defending Trump while wearing eyeliner and trying to appeal to alt girls, was always going to go badly. He says, "I don't get why people are so upset about Trump winning. After the Olympics, I thought Democrats liked watching a man beat a woman." He also chose to publicly defend Lucifer Valentine, a film director known for making violent fetish content that exploits women, which more or less tells you everything you needed to know about where his values actually sat. What made Eric different from the average cringe TikToker was the specific audience he was trying to build. He does not cultivate a following of people who agree with him or who genuinely find him entertaining. He cultivates an audience of young, mentally ill, or emotionally vulnerable girls, and he does it deliberately. From his X account, you could already tell what you get from him. His pinned post is a picture of his junk placed side by side with a Monster Energy drink with the caption, "How much do you love Monster Energy drink?" His content formula is consistent. He films himself at the gym to project physical dominance, then adds captions designed to appeal to teenage girls who are drawn to the idea of being protected by a scary-looking older man. One caption reads, "I look so scary and I'm so full of hate, but deep down all I want is to be her safe place." He also openly promotes DDLG Dynamics, which stands for Daddy Dom Little Girl, in his content. He posted early in his TikTok career saying he did not care if people found it gross, that he cared more about making his girlfriend happy than about what anyone else thought. For those unfamiliar, DDLG is a relationship dynamic in which the couple roleplay a daddy-daughter power dynamic. DDLG is an acronym that stands for Daddy Dom Little Girl. DD/LG is a type of BDSM relationship where the dominant partner takes on the role of a nurturing, OR strict caregiver, that is daddy, while the submissive takes on the role of a youthful child, that is a little girl. The reason people find it alarming in Eric's specific case is not simply the kink itself, but who is in his audience and who he is broadcasting it to. His comment sections, almost from the beginning, were populated with young teenagers. Some had their ages right there in their bios. Eric has been documented replying to girls who are clearly minors with flirty comments saying things like, "Hey babe," and "TikTok knows I'm your type." "Who are you actually about to cry? Why have you shown up on my FYP for the past 4 days? TikTok knows I'm your type." At the time, you could clearly see that the account owner was 16, as stated in their bio. He also does not try to push these minors away when they show up in his content. He does not mind an underage audience, as long as he is not technically breaking the law. There was a time when he made a video saying he wouldn't groom children, no matter how much they wanted him to. He framed this as though it were even an option he should be considering. He uses words like, he knows it sounds crazy that he doesn't want to do it, and he even apologized to his followers for not wanting to groom children.
Yeah, so I didn't expect this video to kind of, for photos to blow up. Last second's already messed up. So I didn't expect these photos to really blow up or get the attention they did. I appreciate it, don't get me wrong, but I'm sorry, I'm not actually in the minds. I'm not going to groom any of you, and I know that sounds crazy to say, like, I'm sorry I'm not going to groom you, but I'm seriously getting so many comments like this, like, I'm sorry guys, it's a no. Enough Davi, I think he's still a thing.
But then, as we would later find out, some of his actions have negated what he said about not being into children. He generally chose snack preferences carefully enough for people to notice. In one post, he listed his post-gym favorites as cupcakes and lollipops. Those are not gym snacks. Those are items that signal to a very specific audience that he is curating for. He eventually said he wanted to dress girls up, own them like dolls, and treat them delicately because they have porcelain little doll hearts. This was not posted in a private message. This was a video he filmed, edited, and uploaded intentionally to his public profile.
When I see a girl that I like, and when I'm with them, and believe me, you will know if I like them. I will let you all know that I like them. I refer to them as a doll, not in a dehumanization type, but in the sense that they transcend humanity. Like, there's something so much more than that. And yes, I do want to dress them up, and I do want to own them like they are a doll, and I want to treat them delicately because they are...
One might think that this was an innocuous, or even mistake it for, a sweet video that shows his intention to treat women nicely, and even to care for them like a princess. That would be a grave error, as from what is seen from him, when he equally fantasized about kidnapping women. He also once posted a video with the caption, "Vibing to music, while knowing you are the reason multiple girls are in therapy." Clearly, someone who wants to treat women like princesses would not have such thoughts. The way he defends his behaviors is another point of concern. When confronted about the DDLG content and his fixation on younger partners, Eric always has the same response ready. He says his own name makes the answer obvious, pointing out that someone called Vamp Daddy Evil is clearly kinky, and people should not be surprised. That deflection's worth sitting with for a moment. He is essentially saying that his online brand pre-excuses his behavior. He built the name, the persona, and the aesthetic specifically, so that he could point back to them and say, you should have known what you were getting into. This all goes to show that the whole DDLG affairs, which which he openly promotes, or was a way to reinforce the fact that he is the dominant one and the girls which he dates, or he would date, are all dull and should all be beneath him. Check out one of the posts he made a few months back. He says, "It's enraging and painful to lose a doll. They fail to understand their place in life, to serve me, and to feel complete beneath me. I want to be able to use a doll whenever and however I want. Unfortunately, I haven't met one that properly submits, and that leading me to become tired of it, bored of it, or not interested. When I grow dissatisfied by their actions, I simply want to put it away, to get it out of my sight, out of my life until it's ready to obey again." From the words he uses, such as obey, submits, and beneath, you could see a pattern of who he is. Although these are all attempts to rage bait people into engaging with his content, it still goes to show who he is as a person. These all clarify why his statement about not being into children may not be completely true after all. But there is more evidence to refute that statement as we go deeper into the video. It will also manifest in his opinion on age gap relationships. What started as a desire to be the scariest and most dominant figure in a corner of the internet would, in time, become a farce the internet could not look away from, as people began to see him as dangerous. Can we do an updated version of this? His legit being a risk. He just went from Ohio to Tennessee to see a girl who's super vulnerable. He also is currently victim blaming a girl who he tried to So why did everyone start to see that his gothic-themed gym videos are a ruse to something much darker? Eric understands the TikTok algorithm very well. He knows that outrage spreads faster and wider than almost anything else on TikTok and Instagram Reels. So he frequently uses extreme, graphic, and highly offensive content specifically designed to make viewers angry. At the time of his fame, his most viral post was a video using the song Little Girls by Oingo Boingo, which is a song about an adult man's obsession with underage girls. He knew exactly what the song was. He knew exactly what kind of attention it would bring. He filmed the video, chose the audio, and posted it anyway. Again, this was just him being true to his style of rage-baiting people to engage in his content. The response from his comment section was, predictably, people accusing him of being into minors, which then led him to post a follow-up video where he said, and these are his actual words, "I'm sorry, I'm not actually in the nines. I'm not going to groom any of you."
I'm sorry, I'm not actually in the nines. I'm not going to groom any of you.
Since then, his most popular videos have been clips of him talking about girls, where he put some weird and oddly specific captions, like saying. And then in another video, he said, "It hurts Daddy when you remind him he is 30. In fact, when you go through his TikTok, his most popular videos all have something in common. They are mostly about girls in a disparaging or sexual manner. Just like the time he said he liked to pee in his girlfriend.
Sometimes I like to pee in my girlfriend and call her Daddy's little water balloon."
He actually tried to frame all of these as rage bait content to get viewers regardless of whether they are haters or fans. He posted content claiming he was dating someone just to sell them on the deep web, framing it as edgy humor. He made this post while he was already known to be a person of interest in his ex-girlfriend's disappearance, which made the joke land somewhere in the vicinity of self-incrimination, rather than comedy. He also openly bragged in videos about having a restraining order issued against him, treating it as proof of how dangerous and desirable he is, rather than as evidence that someone was so afraid of him that they went to a judge. He then allegedly violated that order and posted about it. In one clip, he posted a video fantasizing about kidnapping his ex-girlfriend, not as a distant abstract joke, but as a direct first-person fantasy, delivered casually and posted publicly. It seemed to be in brand for him. But then things get darker when you start to consider his behaviors towards minors. Even this, he refuses to clear up the allegations surrounding it. His pinned TikTok post, the first thing anyone sees when they visit his profile, reads, "I will not be clearing up any rumors or allegations. If you think I did it, I probably did do it. And if I didn't, I might." This is pinned. He chose it. That pinned post exists for two reasons. The first is to perform the dangerous edgelord persona that he has built his entire online brand around. The second is that it is written by someone who actually believes the persona is protective cover. That if everything is a joke, nothing can be used against him. Then this last month, he posted another video with the caption, "Responding to allegations," but he ended up talking about how his hair is fuzzy.
Hey guys, this is going to be sadly more of a serious video. There have been a number of allegations against me, and I think that as a man, it's finally time that I just need to stand up and respond and apologize for what I've done. And I've decided that I need to change. Many of you have brought to my attention that my hair has become frizzy, dirty, messy, greasy, dry, what have you. So, in response, I've gone out and purchased myself a hair mask treatment. I am so sorry for what I've done by letting my hair get kind of greasy and dirty. and I hope that you can forgive me all moving forward.
What the rage bait framing was always doing was providing plausible deniability for behavior that was showing up in private messages, in leaked screenshots, and in the real-world outcomes of his relationships, none of which looked like jokes at all. A major turning point in the public scrutiny surrounding Eric was his behavior toward a TikTok girl known as Ray, also known online as Sick and Pretty. The reason this specific situation became so widely discussed was the timeline. Eric was one of Ray's top live gifters on TikTok, consistently sending money to her live streams before she turned 18. He was commenting on her content and publicly engaging with her drama while she was a minor. Problem was that Ray herself had some dark things about her. People called her out as a racist and a lolcow. That was when Eric immediately came into the frame, saying it was gross for adults to bully an 18-year-old girl. Call me weird for sticking up for Ray being betrayed right now, but the way a bunch of adults are bullying a teenage girl is genuinely gross. This way, he was able to frame himself as the one grown adult willing to stand up for her when the rest of the internet was piling on. But then again, this is not him being chivalrous. It was just in his style to target girls who are vulnerable and young. When she turned 18 and immediately launched an adult subscription page, Eric subscribed the same day. It didn't take long for him to confirm this after putting up a video thanking people for piling up on her and making it easy for him to properly enter her life.
And I want to give a special shout out to all the people who bullied her and put her self-esteem down to make it easy for me.
That is him in his own words, acknowledging that he waited for her to become vulnerable enough to be accessible to him, and thanking the people who helped make that happen.
Yeah, I did. And I want to give a special shout out to all the people who bullied her and put her self-esteem down to make it easy for me.
When confronted about the predatory optics of his behavior toward Ray, Eric gave one of the strangest possible answers. He said, "I do not view Ray as a girlfriend. I view her more like a daughter. I view her more like a pet." I really hope this can go ahead and clear some things up for you guys.
A lot of anger, disdain, and misinformation going around everywhere. So I want to go ahead and clear this up. I do not view Ray as a girlfriend. I view her more like a daughter. I view her more like a pet. I really hope this can go ahead and clear some things up for you guys.
It did not clear anything up. He had just purchased her adult subscription page and was calling her a daughter and a pet within the same sentence, which is two of the specific kink dynamics he talks about openly on his public profile. So, more than anything, the whole viewing her as a daughter meant something much more than just a parental relationship. Many people started calling his attention to the fact she was way younger than he was, but he was not fazed by it. Instead, he responded in the most ridiculous way possible, putting up a video with a caption that suggests that grooming minors is, in fact, a trait of his. It then becomes imperative to categorically understand where Eric stands in an age gap relationship. It's not that his actions so far haven't already explained his stance, but getting clarity was just as important, as it would confirm what many people have been thinking. So, when asked directly about age gap relationships, Eric defended them, saying that the younger partner benefits from having someone more mature and knowledgeable. He then said it was his role as a man to be the provider and the knowledgeable one in the relationship.
So, have I been in age gap relationships? Yeah, of course. Let me ask you this though. Is that really a bad thing? When it comes to an age gap, there's a big maturity difference, yes. But this means one person is going to be able to benefit from having a partner that's a lot more mature and knowledgeable than topics that they might not be too aware of and may need to learn.
Then on his X app, he reposted this image, which illustrates his stance on age gap relationships. The caption says, "It's the kind of sizes difference you really want to see," or something like that. He also cited his own experience in a relationship with an older woman when he was 18, framing it as proof that age gap relationships can be healthy and beneficial. What he was actually describing was an adult woman in her 30s who pursued him when he was a teenager, which is the same dynamic he was now recreating from the other side.
I myself used to be in a relationship with a woman who was 36 when I was 18. In the time I was with her, I managed to learn a lot about things, and I really loved that woman, and we did some amazing and beautiful things together. And yeah, sure, things might not have been conventional, but I still think it was a very healthy and beneficial relationship that I really...
That kind of revealed he was groomed by an older woman, so he sees no problem doing that to younger girls now that he is older, especially since, as a man, it is his role to be a provider.
Enjoyed. Yeah, there have been a number of 18-year-old women that I've dated, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Now, I'm not saying going after a younger partner is good. In fact, I would go so far as to argue that I
disapprove of someone going after someone younger even more than you do. But as a man, it's my role to really step up and be the provider and knowledgeable one who can give all the reassurance that someone could need.
Now, it's important to consider that he was groomed by an older woman. This provides an explanation that his childhood trauma might have defined his now behavior to an extent. In another post, he wrote about this childhood experience, saying, "To be completely honest, there was a time in my life where I was specifically after younger women. I was in a relationship with a 36-year-old Dama when I was 17. I continued going after women that age per her request, as she enjoyed watching pretty young girls hurt. I did this until I was 20, and she left me, never telling me why, with me." He also made another post, seemingly of the same woman, because his own age had changed, and he wasn't specific about the woman's age. But his overall point was that he was groomed, and this turned him into who he is today. I can't sleep. I can't stop thinking about the things I've done in the name who I fell in love with just to be thrown away. She took on when I was 16, and made me the way I am when she was in her 30s, and we did things to multiple girls. And I want to vent and be able to get it out there and not carry this burden, but I know I can't ever speak about it. And worse, deep down, I know I enjoyed doing it. I don't play that role anymore. I'm not that kid who helped her. I've gone so much further than she ever could. But the only thing that makes the nights easier is rushing into destructive romantic tendencies of telling innocent girls that I'll give them everything if they become dependent on me. The problem with Eric was that he was self-aware enough to understand that his childhood trauma had played a role in who he has become. However, he has instead owned these harmful behaviors instead of genuinely seeking help. This would translate significantly into all of his relationships, if we can call them that anyway. Eric's relationships have been consistently chaotic, and that chaos has followed a pattern so closely that it's now a playbook. His relationship with Ray ended badly almost immediately after it started. After she blocked him, he posted a TikTok saying, "It's okay that you blocked me. I know you didn't mean it. You're not in trouble. Daddy isn't mad at you. He's right here when you're ready."
Dagger blocked me. I don't even know what I did wrong. Is this because I said someone else was like Griffith and I asked if you wanted to be Judo? I've never even seen Berserk. I don't know the characters.
The way he announced they broke up was also weird. He puts up a caption that says, "Going after Sick and Pretty the moment she turned 18 is so wicked." And then he just says, "Ray and I broke up." As it turned out, their relationship was not a smooth one. As expected, Eric had tried to own, just like anyone would expect. In one of the leaked messages he sent to her, he said, "Honestly, I get so fucking jealous and annoyed thinking about any guy you fucked around with before me. I'm better than Landon, Kevin, Joey, Dredd, etc. Look at me. I'm a god compared to them. They don't even come close to me. They don't compare to me. And I get annoyed thinking about the guys who groomed you because I want to go further and harder than any other guy. I want to mark you. I want to have my name on you. I want to own you completely." Further leaked messages between them showed a pattern of possessive, controlling behavior that escalated rapidly. He even outright said he was grooming her. "Not even going to lie, I'm jealous because I want to have been the one to groom you. I'm grooming you now in a way, but it's just the early process of being sweet before the up shit. But fortunately, you're stupid enough to be into that. I'm taller, bigger in every way, better looking, more mature. You're so lucky I talked to you. I want you to touch yourself thinking about me and to ask for permission. You're just a little girl." He expressed jealousy about men she had been involved with before him, told her she was lucky he was talking to her, and said she owed him obedience. The messages goes on, and they all confirm the fact that he targets vulnerable underage girls or very young adults to make his little dolls. But of course, Ray was not his only victim. A TikToker with the username XXX Katrina XXX came forward, claiming Eric had been in contact with her when she was 15. She alleged that he had sent her explicit messages and threats, and that he knew her age. Eric responded with a series of videos claiming she had told him she was 18, producing screenshots that she said were fake and did not involve her. The bigger question is, why'd she never say she was anything but 18 when I was 19/20, and then continue messaging me after she cheated? I have proof, by the way. She then publicly posted their messages asking him to come out and provide an explanation on how they are fake. And also, the claim that she informed him she was 18 was one she would not let stand. Explain these messages between us then, Eric. Just admit you knew I was 15 instead of sitting in my comments lying to make yourself look good. It seemed like when discrediting her would not work, Eric resorted to calling her names and straight up saying she was ugly.
"How the f*** are you gonna look like this? Do shit like this? Or like this? And have the nerve to sit behind a screen and call me f***ing ugly. Not just ugly, but specifically a chopped labubu? You didn't think I was fucking ugly when I was 15? Oh god, I forgot. I'm not freshly 18. Or 17. Or 16. So I'm automatically revolting to him. Oops.
There was a time he tried to address the whole claim and say it was all rage baiting from his side, but all he did was to confirm that he indeed had relationships with minors. He says, dated a 17-year-old at 19, was friends with a 16-year-old on FB. While 19, everyone decided that meant I'm a PD file, and now I rage bait, which makes them more mad. The stalker claims are true, though I 100% get obsessed. Now, while all of these were going on, Eric's ex-girlfriend was murdered, and he was a person of interest in her murder. His post on this was even more cringy. He said losing a girlfriend felt the same as losing a daughter to him, which was a sentence that landed badly for anyone who had been paying attention. This probably explains why many people wondered why anyone would want to date him. His most recent relationship with a TikToker named Callie, also known as Callie the Flower Girl, was the most extensively documented of his relationships and the one that finally produced real-world consequences. The moment he first showed interest in her, this TikToker advised her to run.
Bitch, Callie, I'm gonna need you to run. The stalker from Perfect Blue somehow became real and is after your ass. Run!
Kaylee is a young woman who built her TikTok following around her difficult life circumstances and was known for being in a long-term relationship with a man named Preston.
And you're... Bruh. People are saying this is staged. I wish this was staged. I'm angry as hell right now, y'all.
Hey, I can tell you, this is not staged. This one is not staged.
No, it's not. He beat the shit out of me.
No, that's fake.
That is not fake at all.
That is fake.
That's not fake at all. I got thrown at the sink, y'all. I got thrown at the sink and banged my head on the floor. Whoop whoop.
Just the same story over and over, isn't it?
Oh, the same story over and over again, isn't it? Maybe you should change the way you fight, bitch. Me pissed off, and I needed advice, and I needed to not get beat, so I had to turn on the camera.
Let's talk.
You're wrong. Yeah, I want stable housing.
Spending $300 on an Airbnb in a place like this is so much cheaper.
But I don't want to get hurt, bro.
You want luxury, and you have to act broke to keep getting more money. If that's how you're gonna.
And anyone who has been following Eric keenly would know that this was like an invitation for him to jump right in. So he began messaging Kaylee across multiple platforms after she did not respond to his first attempts at contact, sending her love bomb messages telling her she was perfect, that he could explain why she felt the way she did, that she just had not been given the chance to shine, and that he really, really wanted to pursue her.
Hey, so apparently some people seem to think this is all staged and that Callie the Flower Girl and I are doing some sort of weird collaboration where we chase things for clout or chase some clout together. This is absolutely not the case. Preston is actually in jail right now. I've never spoke to Preston. He may have messaged me and I just didn't see it. I did message Callie way back. I have already posted a screenshot of the message to her. I sent it on TikTok. I never got a response on TikTok. After I made a few videos, I actually did reach out to her on Instagram, thinking that she may be more likely to see it. She didn't see it, and then I reached out to her on another Instagram and messaged her some more. And then I tried adding her on Snap and messaging her there, which she didn't see till recently. It looks like she was rather upset about it. She thought I'd be gaslighting her, which big difference between gaslighting and what I'm doing, and she's crazy if she thinks I'm gaslighting her. We did actually get to end up calling just earlier. It was pretty nice. We called for a good number of hours, 5, maybe 6 hours. She's starting to really get the feel of me and what I want and what I'm after. But no, I genuinely am actually after her. Like, this isn't some weird publicity stunt. I do genuinely want her. To the people that are gonna sit there and say, oh no, you can't want her, she's only half your age. Yeah, I think that's why I want her.
Some say he cared for her because she was vulnerable, since she was battling with an abusive boyfriend. But it was all a ruse. He cared, sure buds, cared about taking advantage of her vulnerability. He sent her items from her Amazon wish list, bought her things, and posted about it publicly. He also posted a framed photo of her next to a pair of handcuffs and a collar in what he called a shrine. Kaylee responded to one of his attempts with a message saying, your ex-girlfriend is missing and you're the main suspect. Do not try to butter me up and love bomb me when your heart holds no love, and you could never mean anything more to me than a piece of dirt on my floor. Despite this, Eric Eric eventually showed up in person after Kaylee had a violent altercation with Preston and was placed in a hotel by the police. Basically, shortly after the police came for a wellness check and she's being put into inpatient therapy long term, and in his style, he took the opportunity to say he cared for Kaylee. It could be weeks, maybe even half a year until she's out. I genuinely care about Kaylee a lot though. While Kaylee was with Eric, he posted explicit content involving her online without her consent. She was documented on camera saying she was on medication and had been drinking. She was still under the legal drinking age at this point, and Eric was of legal age, which meant he may have purchased the alcohol. It was clear that he went there to fully take advantage of her. But then nothing really did materialize from his pursuit of Kaylee, as she chose to stay with Preston instead. Hey guys, update about the situation, cause everyone's going crazy. I do obviously like and care about Callie the flower girl, but she's choosing to stay with Preston. I can't make her do anything. And ultimately, if she's choosing someone else, then I can't make her do anything. If something happens later, then it happens later, Sim. Open to pursuing other women, as this has been an interesting but ultimately a bittersweet end. So she blocked him, an act that he did not take very well because he posted another video with the caption, "I woke up blocked after everything I talked about and promised. I'm not mad at them for it. Nobody needs to apologize. I've always been patient. I've always been forgiving. I've always been reassuring. But I'm tired. I'm tired of being crazy. I'm tired of being the unrequited love. I'm too obsessive, like I'm a stalker. And stalkers aren't good." Eric was eventually arrested in connection with allegations that he had filmed Kaylee without her consent, and it was after his release that he released an 8-part video series attempting to explain his side of the Callie situation, which suggests even he understood the scale of the problem his behavior had created. In the first part, he talked about how he came to meet her and what transpired with Preston.
I have had a lot of people ask me to make this video, me to clarify the situation, say what happened, so here we go. So many of you may know that her boyfriend got arrested for domestic abuse and assault again, and she hit me up. We'd been talking on and off for a while now, as many of you know at this point, and I brought up the idea of me just going down and getting her. She was 100% down, so I did. I dropped everything I was doing and drove over 1,000 miles, 20+ hour round trip, because I cared about her, she wanted to be with me, I wanted to be with her, and I wanted her to be safe. Before getting there, there is actually a semi-truck accident. Awesome, right? Damages my car, destroys one of my tires, I have to pay a lot of money to get it replaced. Not a big deal, whatever, I'm alive. I get down there, I'm tired, I nap with what I can, help her pack up all of her stuff into my car, start driving back. I am very tired, so we end up getting a hotel. Ultimately, I have to call off work twice now due to the hotel situation. Still tired again because, like I said, I just hadn't been sleeping well. I hadn't slept much with her because I had to help her pack. I had to help her do a lot of things, and driving a very long time can take a lot out of you. So we're in another state at this point. We enjoy each other a little bit. I obviously kick my feet up and relax in the hotel. She does too. She orders some things, whatever. We stop and talk about what we want to do, what sort of life she wants to have. She decides that yes, she wants to do content and make money from that. And hey, I can bring a lot of attention to somebody. And a lot of people want to see me make content as well. You people can say whatever you want. At the end of the day, I'm still an attractive man and I still have a lot of people interested in me. So over the course of the next couple.
In the second part, he addressed the video he made when he went to meet Kaylee, saying that she was aware he recorded the videos.
And hey, I can bring a lot of attention to somebody. And a lot of people want to see me make content as well. You people can say whatever you want. At the end of the day, I'm still an attractive man and I still have a lot of people interested in me. So over the course of the next couple of days with Callie, I record some photos and videos of her. Every single thing I have ever posted, and she knew I was recording her. Every single photo and every single video I have ever posted of her, I have shown her and asked, hey, do you like the way you look in this? And are you okay if I post it? I managed to get some sleep and I wake up and I notice Callie is not in the hotel. And, you know, this is a little upsetting because I told Callie word for word that a lot of people told me that she disappears randomly and will just run away and just run off. And I told her I want her to be there when I wake up. And instead, what I wake up to is her gone and text messages saying that she Ubered off to a tattoo parlor, couldn't pay for the tattoos, and need me to come pay for them. Yeah, obviously, it's pretty annoying. But I do it because, one, what am I supposed to do? And two, obviously, I still care about her. But that's not really something good to be doing, and everyone knows that, and I'd like to think that deep down she knows that too. We keep driving back home. We get back to my place. We unload all of her stuff. Twinkle's there. We, you know, slowly try introducing her to my cats, but Twinkle hasn't really socialized with other cats very much because obviously she's just been moving with Callie, which not exactly the best for a cat. You want cats to be social with others, so I have to introduce them very slowly. We record some more content. Obviously, Callie has been trying to threaten me with lawsuits, things like that, so I have to watch what I say. I can only say so much.
The third part was about the lawsuit filed by Kaylee.
Obviously, Callie has been trying to threaten me with lawsuits, things like that, so I have to watch what I say. I can only say so much, and I'm sorry for that. I would love to give all the details, but unfortunately, I just can't. The thing is, that night when I went to sleep, Callie had been upset. She had been on live. People were saying some very nasty things to her. Callie had been on the phone with her brother, who, I'll be completely honest, I'm not a big fan of her brother. I have a different view of him now. They wanted her to go back for the Christmas holiday. Keep in mind that this is the girl who, when she was assaulted in a disgusting way that I won't even describe, when she was only 12 years old, by somebody in that family, I'll just go ahead and say, Miranda, her mother's, her lover at the time, did some disgusting things to a 12-year-old girl, and I'll just leave it up to imagination what he did. And I'm going to let you know right now, kids don't lie about that type of thing, and if anyone wants to try to accuse her of lying when she was only 12 and is 100% a dead ringer for that type of you're a disgusting human being, and please never speak to me. And that's coming from me, by the way. If I think you're disgusting, you've probably really fallen off. To be completely honest with you, I have a pretty strong dislike of everyone in her family at this point, because they see this young girl going through a domestic abuse situation, and do they help out? Do they try to keep, the boyfriend of the young girl away from her, while she wasn't even really the correct age to be with somebody like that? If you know, you know. For some reason, Miranda, her mother, approved it, which, not really surprising. It's not the first time that Miranda would let a young Callie.
The fourth and fifth videos were just him calling people out as hypocrites about the situation.
For some reason, Miranda, her mother, approved it, which, not really surprising. It's not the first time that Miranda would let a young Callie get hurt under her watch. But every single one of them sees her in this situation, and Callie's been online for a while, let's be honest. We've all seen the condition she was in when she was growing up. But do any of them actually...
Then he described the police arrest in the 6th part of the series. The 7th and 8th part of the series...
Like 8 cops immediately corner me, and yeah, they were not taking any chances. I am handcuffed, placed in the back of a car, they have a search warrant for my place, they go through, they take my phone, whatever. Ultimately, I'm not arrested at the time. The cops tell me that they would like to speak to me at the station. They offer me a ride there and back. And I know never talk to cops. Everyone will say never talk to cops, whatever. I don't care. I talk to the cops. So what? If anything happened, it's best to just get it out of the way. Say what happened, say what you did, and just deal with it. So I do that. I talk to the police. At the time, all I knew was, of course, what we did together. I don't know what she told the cops. I get a story told to me from some people that say that Callie was not okay with me posting any of the content, which wouldn't surprise me. It turns out, however, that she has said more than that, and I found out at a later time. So anyways, I give the police my phone and give the police all the information, get into my phone, give the police, everything they need to know, everything they need to do. I go back and I get a burner phone. I tell Callie flat out, I'm not mad at you even after everything, even after all of this. I will still gladly drive you back to Tennessee if that's what you want to do. Because I cared about her and I wanted her to be well. Does not take me up on that, and instead decides to get a Greyhound and abandon Twinkle with somebody else so that she can be rehomed, even though had she driven with me, she would have kept Twinkle, kept all of her things, and would have been dropped off wherever she wanted. Ultimately, she goes back down there, and I find out that what she had told the police was even more than what I was told. She had apparently told...
...were him trying to set the record straight and calling out the lies she told to the police.
What she had told the police was even more than what I was told. She had apparently told them I have content on my phone, and that she had seen this content involving something that, let's just say, has the same initials as Cyberpunk. C and then the other one, yeah. Which I want to say flat out, absolutely disgusting. I never have been interested in that, never will be interested in that, and never was interested in that. The police don't find anything like that on my device, because there's nothing like that on there, and I have no idea why she would ever say something so heinous, but...
More recently, in a comment on a TikTok post asking people to talk about Vamp Daddy Evil lore, someone else came out to say he tried to flirt with them when they were still a minor, and he tried flirting with me, and I told him I was 15, and he said even better, and he tried to get my Insta. At this point, there is almost no doubt that the pedophile claims were not just allegations. The evidence is there for anyone who looks for it. The clearest window into how Eric actually behaves with people came not from his public TikTok posts, but from the screenshots and private messages that ended up being made public. The leaked messages to Ray show a pattern of love bombing followed by possessive and demeaning language. He told her he was better than every man she had ever been with, that she was lucky he was talking to her, and that he wanted to own her entirely. He also told her to stop sleeping around, and warned her that if she did not confirm her address for him, he was going to get angry. He also shared screenshots of a DDLG conversation with an unnamed partner, which he posted publicly on his TikTok page, with little apparent concern for privacy. In this conversation, he called her his little girl, told her she belonged to him, asked who owned her, and received the response, "You do, new master. He also shared a photo of an actual young child with the same person, captioned it as looking like her, and received the response, "It's me when I miss you," to which he replied, "Oh, poor little girl." Beyond the whole age gap relationship stance and his DDLG opinions, he also subscribes to CNC. CNC refers to consensual, non-consensual scenarios which simulate assault and violate safety policies on dating platforms related to sexual violence. He posted a video about the ban, complaining that 2 consenting adults liking a consensual activity should not result in removal, missing the point that dating apps exist to connect people before consent has been established. His Tinder profile was permanently banned after he put CNC in his Tinder bio. As though the Tinder ban was not enough, he also posted videos on TikTok, reaffirming his love for CNC. His Instagram and Facebook accounts were also both removed from their platforms at various points, leaving TikTok as his primary space. He immediately released a video expressing his frustration at the ban, saying the only reason these things kept happening to him was because people were scared of him.
Guess who just got banned on Tinder? Guess who just got banned on Tinder? Me, of course, because of course I would. I get banned on everything. You guys took my Instagram away. You guys got my Facebook taken away. And at the end of the day, the only reason I can think this is happening is because, oh, big scary vampire. This is absolutely ridiculous.
That was basically him blaming other people for his misfortune, which was caused by none other than himself. As these screenshots and platform bans accumulated, internet commentators began documenting his patterns, transforming his comment sections from fans into a community dedicated to warning others about his behavior. Every time Eric is confronted with the substance of the allegations against him, his response follows the same sequence. He first denies that any wrongdoing occurred. He then argues that his critics are jealous, misguided, or simply do not understand dark humor. Then he pivots to talking about all the ways he has positively impacted the lives of the young women he pursued. When a YouTuber posted a video criticizing his content and his behavior, especially towards Ray, Eric made a response video saying, "In reality, I'm probably one of, if not the best, men Ray has ever spoken to in her entire life, and unfortunately, Ray just has problems doing what she's told, so it's not a successful, happy relationship."
We are going to respond to Darth Vader, because I saw his little video. In reality, I'm probably one of, if not the best men Ray has ever spoken to in her entire life. And unfortunately, Ray just has problems doing what she's told, so it's not a successful, happy relationship. You criticize my videos and how I express myself and the things I say. You completely took things that happened out of context, and you try to paint me as some sort of villainous monster, scary, evil guy, which I am not.
Perhaps he needs someone to tell him that an 18-year-old woman who was groomed into a relationship, not doing what she is told by a man pushing 30, is not a relationship failure. It is the correct outcome because that relationship should not exist in the first place. He also responded to allegations about Kaylee by posting that he was the only person actually standing up for her, that everyone else was just insulting and mocking her, and that he was the one putting his foot down on her behalf. He said this while his devices had already been seized by police over the explicit content allegations. The fact that I'm the one that has to put my foot down and stand up for a long time victim because people don't want to acknowledge the signs and instead just insult her and make fun of her is disgusting. The good guy pivot is not accidental. It is a strategy designed to make anyone who criticizes him look like they are attacking someone who is just trying to help broken girls heal. It gives him cover and gives potential targets a reason to believe his stated intentions rather than his documented behavior. When you carefully evaluate his responses to direct allegations, you would realize he frames himself as someone who knew what he was doing, clearly informs his victims of what it takes to be with him. For example, he admits multiple times that he is a stalker who love bombs his targets. Another tactic he uses to deflect from the allegations is to frame himself as a savior. He loudly highlights the positive impact he claims to have had on his younger partners' lives and careers. Other times, he just straight up calls his victims, who call him out a liar if there are no other places for him to hide. That was exactly what he did with Katrina, who said he was flirting with her when she was 15. He then said he was too busy dealing with Kaylee's domestic violence situation to respond properly because he was doing good things. People already see through his attempt to shift the blame to the victim, as this user pointed out. Can we do an updated version of this? Has legit being a risk. He just went from Ohio to Tennessee to see a girl who's super vulnerable. He also is currently victim blaming a girl who he tried to groom. At this point, the internet has had enough documentation to see through this good guy pivot structure. His private messages showed the predatory behavior. His real world relationships showed the predatory outcomes. And his responses to it all showed someone who had been playing a long game and was running out of moves. However, there are still some individuals who defend him as fans, just like this user who got excited when he replied to him. And then there is this guy who defended his relationship with Ray. But one thing remains constant. There is no no indication that Vamp Daddy Evil will change anything about himself. As of the time this script was written, Eric had been arrested, had his devices seized by police, and was facing multiple active allegations. His TikTok account remained active between detentions and the restraining order he is facing. He has been arrested over the lawsuit filed by Callie, over a Discord message, and also over being a person of interest in his ex-girlfriend's murder case. His post-arrest behavior was, if anything, more revealing than anything he had posted before. He admitted in a public message that he was obsessive, that he was a stalker, and that he had tried to get better but was better at concealing it and not being as creepy. He ended by saying there was no getting better for someone like him, and that it was best for everyone if he was gone. What is clear is that the internet did not buy the satire defense. YouTubers, TikTokers, and commentary creators spent significant time documenting his patterns in detail, and the documentation held up because the evidence was largely his own words on his own platforms. His arrest and the involvement of police did not stop him from posting, did not stop him from continuing to frame himself as the most attractive and desirable man in his corner of the internet, and did not produce any genuine accounting for what he had done to the people who encountered him. Eric's journey as Vamp Daddy Evil is a textbook example of how clout chasing can quickly turn a person into a lolcow. What started as an edgy gothic persona quickly degraded into a documented pattern of targeting vulnerable creators, exploiting massive age gaps under the guise of mentorship, and using toxic manipulation tactics behind closed doors. But as the internet continues to archive screenshots, bans, and receipts, Eric isn't viewed as a dark, mysterious vampire. He's seen for exactly what he is, a dangerous predator.
This is not what men look like. What do they look like? Fuck you.
What do they look like? Bald prisoners?
Viral videos. This fitness influencer is now on video as Hollandale Beach police go to arrest him March 17th. And for the first time, we're seeing that video.
Fully side with you. I would side with you. I would draw you in. Oh, it's cool, dog. Like, my bad. Hey, my bad. And then I'd wait for you to get lax and then...
What happens when a man spends years screaming that he's the toughest, richest, most disciplined guy on the internet, and people finally start checking the receipts?
You want to know how we win? We run in a perfect day. We master our fucking day. And then we repeat that.
Wes Watson built his brand on prison stories, alpha male speeches, and acting like he had conquered life through pure discipline. But behind the muscles and motivational yelling is a much stranger reality. The so-called kingpin was reportedly just a snowboard teenager selling weed to support his own habit, later exaggerating into stories about being a massive drug dealer at 11 years old.
I mean, I was a surfer, skater, snowboarder, and we just want to smoke for free. Everybody wants to smoke for free. Everyone wants to use for free.
And so
then
just started snowballing.
Start pushing.
Now he's facing assault allegations, scam claims, and reports that he couldn't even afford rent. To better understand Wes Watson's disturbing behavior, we need to take a deep dive. Let's start this video by looking at what many influencers have to say about Wes Watson, starting with Moist Critical Gaming, or Penguin Zero, originally known as Charles Christopher White, a YouTuber with over 18 million subscribers. At the time, the internet was already turning against Wes Watson. People had been calling him out for fake stories, scam-like coaching programs, steroid use, and his constant fake alpha male behavior. But even after all of that, Wes still managed to keep a loyal fan base. That finally started changing in 2024. In April of that year, Wes appeared on the Fresh and Fit podcast alongside several guests, including commentator Andrew Wilson. What was supposed to be a normal discussion quickly turned into a complete disaster for Wes. The argument started when Andrew disagreed with Wes's views about success, masculinity, money, muscles, and expensive luxury items. According to Andrew, real success comes from having a strong family, stability, good values, and self-control, not from acting like a fake alpha male online while showing off muscles, sports cars, and designer lifestyles. That clearly hit a nerve. Instead of calmly defending his opinions, Wes immediately became angry and aggressive. He started shouting, interrupting people, insulting Andrew's appearance, and even demanded that Andrew take his shirt off so everyone could judge his body. At that point, the podcast stopped looking like a debate and started looking like a public meltdown.
That I haven't experienced wealth? Even
I
poor
was
people,
asking if you did.
Even poor people experience days of wealth.
I was asking if you did. I don't know who you are.
But even poor people experience days of wealth.
Wes acted as if having giant muscles automatically made someone more of a man, but many viewers thought the opposite. A real man doesn't need to scream at people, flex steroids, or threaten violence just because someone disagrees with him. Even Charles Christopher White reacted to the podcast afterward and openly mocked how childish Wes looked during the argument.
Pull your shirt
Because
off.
I've been.
Tell me you're proud
Because
of
I've been to.
Oh, wait, I gotta rewind. I always love that. Pull your shirt off. Show me your body. And let me touch it a little bit. Because you're probably not proud of it.
While Andrew stayed calm for most of the discussion, Wes completely lost control. Instead of making logical arguments, he started personally attacking Andrew and even threatened physical violence at one point. For someone who constantly talks about discipline, emotional control, and masculinity, the entire situation exposed a very different side of him.
Lowest lows and the highest highs.
Well, what's the distinction? After you make X amount, hundreds of thousands of dollars, if you look at the studies done on this, it does not.
I don't fit no studies,
it does not
bro.
hugely improve a person's life.
Are you proud of who you are?
Wes appeared to be someone who only likes to glorify masculinity instead of adopting it fully. The argument quickly turned embarrassing. People who watched the podcast thought Wes was a deeply insecure and emotionally unstable man. While Andrew stayed cool throughout the disagreement, Wes lost his cool and became highly aggressive. As Wes and Andrew continued to argue over Andrew's body, it came out that Wes had been to prison and stayed there for over 10 years.
Tell me you're proud
because
of yourself.
I've been to prison.
Jesus Christ!
Because
look
I've been
at
to
you,
prison.
bro. You got 10-inch arms and men don't have.
No, they go to prison.
Yes, you heard that right. Wes went to jail for all the wrong reasons more than once. However, the 10 years he spent in jail occurred in 2009, and this was all about a man named Ruben Carvajal who owed $5,000 to a dealer, Noah Bloom. Noah had given Ruben drugs, in the hopes that Ruben would pay him the money after reselling them. However, Noah was trapped in his own financial issues. He had to pay his own supplier, Jeffrey. So basically, everyone involved was trying to clear their own debts at the same time. To tackle this, 3 of them decided to make a drug deal. Ruben agreed to sell more marijuana to Jeffrey and Noah at a lower price. The trio set up a meeting, but something unexpected happened. Jeffrey didn't come alone. He showed up with Wes Watson. At the moment, no one knew things were about to take a violent turn. Wes wasn't there for moral support. He had other evil plans. As they were discussing the deal, Ruben put out a pound of marijuana, showing that he had a supply available, even though he had supplies, but it wasn't of the same high quality he had promised. Wes then interrupted the meeting and asked Ruben if he had any more marijuana available at the moment. Ruben told Wes that he did have more, but it was in Los Angeles. The moment Wes realized Ruben didn't have more marijuana, he lost his cool. He attacked Ruben and beat him unconscious with the help of Jeffrey. Wes and Jeffrey then stole the marijuana Ruben had brought and then burglarized his house. And this one story makes Wes appear more of a harasser and assaulter than an alpha male he claims to be online. Instead of looking like some untouchable crime boss, the story made him look more like an enforcer doing violent dirty work for other people higher up the chain. Even though Jeffrey was also involved, one detail stayed consistent in the witness statements. Everyone reportedly identified Wes as the person who started the assault. That became a major problem for him. Some people later speculated that Wes may have been set up to take most of the blame if things went wrong. Then Wes himself admitted that he was addicted to drugs and alcohol, which might have become an easy way to manipulate him into assaulting Ruben. Wes tried to defend himself by claiming that he was living with a couple, Mr. and Mrs. Miller. According to him, he was having dinner with them at the time, but this alibi soon started falling apart. According to some witnesses, Wes was sitting outside the house at around 8 to 8:30 p.m. Others reported seeing Wes inside the house around 9:30 p.m. before he went to bed. None of the people could confirm where Wes was at the time. Wes also showed a photo of himself as evidence, but that photo backfired badly. In the photo, Wes had hair in his head, but at the time of the assault, Wes had shaved his head. That contradiction immediately raised questions about whether the photo was even taken during the correct time period. When the police questioned the couple, it turned out that they went to bed at around 8 p.m. That meant they had no idea where Wes actually went afterward. Wes later claimed that law enforcement took around 8 months to finally track him down after the assault. However, according to the records, Wes was already convicted of his crimes by the time he claims he was arrested. This meant that Wes had mixed up dates about his arrest, or maybe he was exaggerating.
So now you go to prison. At that point, have you done any jail time?
I did jail time up at Gillis, so people were like, they run the day, they're like, you're sitting there for 8 months. You're sitting in county jail for 8 months.
No, but I mean, before that particular arrest, did you do any jail time?
I did like a county lid.
However, when he was caught, Wes was charged and convicted of robbery, burglary, assault on July 28, 2010. Wes would spend around 9 years behind bars, and later he turned that prison experience into the foundation of his online career. According to Wes himself, during his time in jail, he became a shot caller, a leader who runs the gangs in prison. The way he told these stories made him sound less like a regular inmate and more like a character from a Hollywood crime movie.
Your boy's been a shot caller at many spots, many yards, many buildings, and I'll tell you the breakdown of what I think's good and what I think's bad about being a shot caller.
His same dramatic storytelling made him famous online. While in jail, Wes claimed he somehow got his hands on a cell phone, and he used that phone to its full potential. He started posting his black and white, grainy images on social media apps like Facebook and Instagram, showing his prison life to the world. In the images, he would work out, talking to other inmates and posing like a hardened prison leader. Young men online quickly became fascinated by the image he created. But to really understand why Wes became so obsessed with power, money, and status, you have to go back much earlier, long before the prison prison stories and internet fame. Wesley Thomas Watson was born in 1983 in San Diego, California. While very little is verified about his early life, we know that Wes struggled a lot with financial issues. Wes would claim that his parents were great role models for him, as they stayed together, building a good family life. His father was a provider with a great work ethic. However, Wes also claimed that his father struggled with making enough money. Paying bills and fulfilling basic needs had become an issue in Wes's household. This became the reason that he felt the need to be more successful and achieve what his father couldn't. He wanted to make loads of money through any means necessary. And since money had become the defining trait of Wes, he would also start judging people based on how much money they make. Wes didn't know, but this one habit would also get him into trouble. Wes started hustling at the young age of 11 years old, and that hustling wasn't even a good kind. Wes was neck deep into criminal world. At 12 years old, Wes had started selling drugs to meet his financial needs. When he was 13, he was sitting in the back of the car and traveling to Mardi Gras downtown. But the strange part was, he was carrying a bunch of pre-bagged drugs with him, at least 20 grams, looking to make a delivery.
When you were 12 years old?
Oh, selling.
At 12 years old?
Oh, yeah, always. I remember I was in the back of a car going to like Mardi Gras in downtown San Diego, and I'm like 13, and I got like a bunch of pre-bagged sacks on me, like a drop sack, like a bag full, like 20 grams of.
And honestly, it sounded too fake to believe. A preteen like Wes can't handle this amount of drugs. To critics, it sounded less like reality and more like Wes trying to turn himself into some kind of young drug lord character. According to some reports, Wes was a snowboarding teenager who used to smoke a lot of weed, and then he eventually started selling it to feed his habit. In one of the interviews, Wes himself claimed that while being 14 or 15, he didn't want to pay for his weed, so he started selling it to get his free supply. At that time, he was dealing with both coke and weed.
I started smoking like 13 or 12. By the time I was 14 or 15, I was like, this, I need to get for free. So obviously the natural progression was to start slanging.
Wes also shared how he had bought a quarter of weed and kept each gram in a sorted, clear little box. According to Wes's own admissions, he got caught with drugs several times while he was younger, but the amounts involved were reportedly small enough that he avoided major legal trouble during those years.
I still remember it till this day. I had a little like clear box with each gram in it. I thought I was doing big things. I bought it for like $70. I was going to make $140 off it.
That's another reason many critics doubted his larger claims about being a massive millionaire dealer at a young age. At the age of 13, Wes had started checking his FICO credit score, and soon enough, at around 16, he claimed he bought a brand new truck from the lot using cash.
At 13, I was looking up my credit score. I was tripping on stuff like that to my parents. They're like, why is this guy getting stuff sent to him about his FICO score and like that? So, I mean, I was just already, and then, I mean, fast forward like to 15, I'm already at the Cadillac dealership. Like, I'm going to buy this. Second I turned 16.
Later, Wes would go even further, claiming he was already a millionaire before prison. He lived in a high-rise building and had his hands sore counting the endless dollar bills. The way Wes described it, you would think he was living like a movie character long before he ever got arrested. And since Wes had already started his social media life inside prison, he only got out to make it even better. As soon as he stepped out of prison, he started figuring out how he had to turn his online image into a real-life business. Similar to other alpha male influencers, Wes was also successful in bluffing others. He started selling motivation, fitness advice, like how to grow big like him, self-help programs, and even some bootless but expensive online courses. His content mainly focused on topics like discipline, masculinity, prison stories, and becoming successful through hard work, and it did wonders for him. Right after his release from prison, Wes started showing up on a YouTube channel fresh out. This one channel became popular for interviewing ex-inmates, where they would tell stories about their time in prison, gangs, violence, and survival behind bars. When Wes made an entry into the podcast, he became even more famous because of his aggressive personality and dramatic storytelling. Over the span of several months, Wes showed up in multiple videos, which got him a lot more followers and made his name online. In those interviews, Wes claimed that inmates would often have no choice but to shake hands with racial groups for the sake of their own protection. According to Wes, prison wasn't about democracy, it was more about dictatorship, where influential people controlled every activity. Since Wes was already gaining momentum with his prison stories, he ended up creating a YouTube channel under the name Wes Watson. There, he uploaded his first video titled, "The Time I Almost Lost My Life in Prison." In that video, Wes recalled getting into a violent fight with another inmate, and it didn't end well. While Wes and another inmate didn't get a lot of injuries, an unrelated inmate received serious facial injuries. As a result, Wes was kept in solitary confinement. Over time, Wes kept sharing prison stories, gang politics, and videos on how to survive in prison. But eventually, the stories started becoming less believable and more bizarre. One strange topic Wes often talked about was something called hooping paperwork.
With the paperwork, you know how I roll with it. You know how I roll with my paperwork. I got hooped. I don't give a I roll that shit up tiny as I put in some cellophane.
Hooping means the prisoners would hide prison documents in their bodies, especially in the rectum. This way, other inmates wouldn't be able to check their identity or criminal background when they enter a new facility. Inmates like offenders, PDFs, and ex-cops would be especially treated violently by others. Other than that, Wes also used some graphic prison slang and humor, and even added shocking details to make his content more entertaining. But wait, there's more. At one point, Wes even claimed inmates recognized each other by their buttholes during strip searches.
They only know you by your there. They see my face, and they're like, oh, who are you again? And then I just bend over, I show them. Oh, Wes Watson, how you doing, bro? What's up? Nice to meet you.
The entire story sounded absurd, but clips like this strangely made him even more popular online. One of these videos became so famous that it gained millions of views, and Wes's YouTube channel gained 100,000 subscribers within the first month after its creation. However, people knew Wes was over-exaggerating his stories, making them sound entirely unbelievable. And many other YouTube channels in the same niche, covering prison stories, started shaming Wes for lying about his experience. Others would call Wes out for being artificial, fake, and fraudulent, all because of his constant lying. Some thought how Wes acted online was completely unrealistic, and then one day, a YouTube channel pulled up Wes's prison records, exposing everything. According to the records, Wes never went to high-level prison yards. He was instead sent to a facility with non-violent criminals. That completely damaged the dangerous prison kingpin image he had spent years building. But by then, Wes had already figured out how to turn controversy into money, and as soon as he ran out of prison stories, Wes came up with something even better. He started promoting and heavily advertising his self-mastery programs, and the prices were extremely crazy and unnecessarily high. Some of the small plans started with $50, but the high-tier coaching courses cost thousands of dollars each month. But this isn't even the worst part yet. Some of the specific mentorship programs cost as much as $25,000. Yes, you heard that right. The worst part about these courses was that they were described vaguely. Wes didn't bother to list down the things a course would provide. However, there were promises that the course would get you nutrition advice, business mentorship, custom workout plans, mindset coaching, and weekly Zoom calls. However, there is little to no hard evidence that his clients were actually getting any of those services. At the same time, Wes began making unbelievable claims about how much money he was making off these courses. According to him, he was earning up to $200,000 per day and around $2 or $3 million per month. But people knew Wes could be lying about all that. He might have been making a fair amount of money through social media and coaching, but the claim of making hundreds of thousands of dollars a day was something completely fishy. And then in 2024, Wes's millionaire before prison story got challenged publicly. A YouTuber named Jesse from the channel Jesse on Fire shared claims from people who allegedly knew Wes before he went to prison in 2009. According to Jesse, his wife's friends personally knew Wes back then, and their version of the story looked completely different from the rich drug kingpin image Wes pushed online. Instead of being some wealthy criminal mastermind, they described Wes as broke, couch surfing, and relying heavily on girlfriends for a place to stay. Jesse also claimed that Wes allegedly moved into his girlfriend's house to stay there because he couldn't afford rent and bills. According to the story, the girlfriend's roommates became so frustrated with Wes living there and contributing nothing financially that they eventually moved out themselves.
Yeah, no, he definitely is not making money like that before he went to jail, like not even remotely in the stratosphere of that. Like, he did have money for bills. He had to move in with his girlfriend. But apparently it's a big story, so there you guys go, dude. There's the big story.
And if this was true about Wes's past, then Wes's claims about owning luxury cars, condos, and even making millions of dollars could be a straight-up lie. That flashy success story became one of the biggest reasons people trusted him and bought his expensive courses. He uses one line: "If you follow me, you can become rich and successful like me too." But the deeper people looked into Wes's past, the more confusing his stories became. To be fair, not every accusation against Wes came with hard proof. A lot of the claims were still based on people sharing personal experiences or old stories. But one thing that was real was Wes being intensely involved in snowboarding. He appeared in video montages from the mid-2000s, which proved that he had some talent in sports.
I mean, I was a surfer, skater, snowboarder, and we just want to smoke for free. Everybody wants to smoke for free. Everyone wants to use for free.
And so
then
they started snowballing.
Start pushing.
But this is where it all gets a bit out of the box. At one point, he claimed he used a construction company to launder illegal drug money before prison. According to Wes, that was supposedly how he explained his wealth and avoided suspicion. Problem is that he only mentioned this construction company's story once. After that, he rarely brought it up again in later interviews. He either forgot to talk about it or it was just a made-up thing.
I had like a condo, I had like a mini McMansion.
But you didn't own any of it, right? Like, that's my thing with drug dealers. Like, when you look at it, because you're not paying taxes clearly on the drugs.
I was just watching it through a construction company.
Then another strange detail started catching people's attention. This time it was about how Wes described his own arrest after the assault case. In one of the interviews, he claimed that he was arrested by some U.S. Marshals outside of his friend's house. But in another version, Wes claimed he was arrested while he was leaving the gym. These could sound like small details that might get mixed up by people easily. But when people started comparing all of Wes's interviews together, it would truly make sense about how truthful Wes really is. At the same time, critics also started looking deeper into his coaching business. His critics thought that his coaching business was quite simple, because he only only sold fantasy to people who were looking for it. His entire online image revolved around flashy success. Luxury cars, giant mansions, expensive watches, muscles, money, dominance, that became the brand. It became a norm for Wes to keep talking about how he went from his grandmother's house after prison to becoming the owner of multiple mansions. He even claimed to have owned Rolls-Royce and Lamborghini within a few years only. And for a while, many people believed it. But despite all the motivational speeches and success talk, Wes repeatedly admitted that anger was still one of the biggest problems in his life. Wes would often claim that his anger was his biggest hurdle to success. According to him, he had to keep his anger in check, fearing he would end up in jail again. He discussed his anger in a lot of older videos, where he sounded quite emotional.
I was so angry in prison. So angry. Obviously, most people could agree with that. But then I look back, I've been angry my whole life, my entire life. I've been just frustrated and angry. I'm still angry today. I still wake up angry today.
He once shared a story about how he had to call his mother when he was in trouble while in prison. That moment, Wes recalled a powerful question that his mother asked, and that changed him big time.
And she goes, she just put me in tears whenever I speak about it. But she says, we know you've proven you can hurt people. Can you prove you can't? And she really cusses. My mom's gangster. But that hit me so deep because at that moment I realized how weak I was for continually falling victim to something that caused me and my family so much pain.
For the time being, Wes kept his anger under control, but after a while, people saw that Wes stopped putting effort into his anger management and let himself become the aggressive, tough guy that he is today. One example happened during an interview when someone casually mentioned his wife. Wes instantly became defensive, cut the conversation off, and aggressively warned the interviewer not to go there.
You dropped your wife off with a...
Well, you don't go there, I'll you up right here if you say anything about my goddamn wife. I swear to God. So don't say nothing right there, bro. Stop right there. Stop right there.
And this wasn't just a random discussion. The interviewer was actually talking about Wes's ex-wife, Valerie, whom he married in 2021. During that time, Wes had admitted that he was struggling with anger and addiction management in relationships. However, soon after, he claimed that he got rid of them. But this is where things became salty. In 2022, Valerie made a series of allegation posts against Wes that he was involved in domestic violence and physical. Valerie had claimed that behind closed doors, their relationship had grown toxic and that's not all. Valerie also mentioned that Wes had hurt her physically more than one time, and even threw out her stuff from the house while other women moved in. Ironically, she also dragged Wes through the mud when she said out loud that he wasn't following the things that he was preaching online. The man who built his brand around discipline, masculinity, self-control, and emotional strength was now being accused of violence and manipulation inside his own home.
But pretty much all my tossed out, like, it's happened before, it's not the first time.
Then at the time, she insisted on dealing with those things on her own legally, instead of releasing the evidence online. Meanwhile, discussions about Wes and Valerie started spreading heavily across Reddit and social media. Some users claimed they had seen clips of the couple arguing over extremely petty things. In one story, Valerie supposedly bought several pairs of sunglasses, and Wes reportedly became furious over it. Anyway, Wes posted a video on his story of him saying, "How many times did I tell you where your sunglasses were? And then you go buy a new pair. How many times did I tell you?" Or something along those lines. It was all when Wes had claimed online that he was making millions of dollars per month, yet he still argued over buying more than one pair of glasses. Other Reddit users claimed that Wes had already started seeing another woman before he kicked Valerie and her son Wolfie out of the house. This is important because Wes once flexed about being a good father, adopting and caring deeply about Valerie's son. After their separation, Valerie showed up at an interview with Cinemills. In the interview, she talked about her relationship with Wes in detail and also repeated the same accusations. But according to some viewers, Valerie sounded emotional and sympathetic towards Wes, even after suffering because of him. But due to a lack of evidence and Valerie's own admission that she was an alcoholic at the time of the relationship, people dismissed her accusations. Wes's supporters continued to stand for him and degraded Valerie for speaking against him.
You mentioned you've had a drinking problem.
Oh yeah.
and when you drink, do you get violent or do you get how would you describe yourself when you're drinking?
So violent. Probably 80% of the world would say violent.
Years after their separation, their situation remained messy. Their divorce dragged on for a long time, and Wes kept talking about Valerie and her son in his videos. He would claim to still love her while making her appear as the only bad guy in their relationship. That was the moment Valerie decided to speak for herself. This came after years of accusations. Valerie finally shared the evidence with the world online. One of the pieces of evidence was a video where Wes was standing outside a bathroom and arguing with Valerie.
Wes opens that little window so I can't even use the restroom in privacy. And he just closed it so he wouldn't be recorded. And now he's crying outside the restroom door. What the f are you doing?
These pieces of evidence became harder to ignore, and people started calling Wes out for his dual behavior. Eventually, Wes and Valerie's divorce was finalized in 2022, after roughly 3 years together. At the same time, online communities started working around and digging deeply into Wes's past. One of them was a subreddit dedicated to Wes Watson. One discovery that caught attention was the mansion Wes constantly showed online. According to people online, the property wasn't actually owned by Wes and was simply being rented. This wasn't something very serious because many influencers rent luxury cars and homes for their content. However, for Wes, it only added more doubts about how real his lifestyle actually was. And when people started looking into more details like his coaching business, things became even more twisted. According to ex-clients and critics, Wes wasn't running a simple and fair business. He was straight up scamming people. Many clients complained that Wes charged them a lot of money, but never offered the real services they had promised. One of those complaints came from a Reddit user by the name The Dutch Devil in 2023. The post was titled, "How Wes Watson Almost Scammed Me Out of $1,500 and Gained a Lot of Attention." The user explained that he was a long-standing fan of Wes and wanted to enroll in Wes's business coaching programs. The program that he had joined cost around $3,000. However, he couldn't afford that much, so he asked for a concession from Wes, who offered him a discounted fee, $1,500. Dutch quickly accepted the deal and agreed to be on calls with Wes moving forward. Instead, things quickly became chaotic. Because of the time zone difference, the client initially assumed Wes had accidentally missed one of their scheduled calls, so he politely messaged Wes asking about it. But according to the Reddit post, Wes immediately became aggressive. Instead of responding with the same politeness, he insulted the user and even threatened to take away the discount fully. The user quickly handled the situation with calmness, apologized for nothing, and another call was scheduled. After that, I scheduled the next call with him on Trainerize. He never brought up my needing the payment again, and didn't send me another invoice. But the same thing kept happening again and again. The same situation occurred, and Wes didn't show up on the call. The user shared that Wes constantly ignored, delayed, and canceled the calls. Several months passed by, and the user didn't get the coaching that he had paid for. And after a while, he realized that he was simply scammed out of money. Over the course of the next almost 3 months, I would be blown off and have to reschedule my calls multiple times. I believe 4 times was the number. It is hard to know exactly how many, because I didn't start taking screenshots of our conversations in Trainerize. At the same time, Wes was also fed up with the constant mess up with Dutch, and he suddenly thought about the $1,500 that he had snatched from the poor guy. Wes tried to imply that he was not obligated to provide his services for $1,500. He asked Dutch to get a refund instead. For Wes, it wasn't even a big deal to pull something like that. He wasn't bothered about leading someone on, and later came up with a justification to excuse his behavior. After a little back and forth, he just tells me to request a refund, but this person just says might have got canceled, not sure, before trying to reschedule me again. To make things even more frustrating, Wes had required his clients to use a fitness coaching app called Trainerize for communication and scheduling. So when Dutch tried getting his money back, he followed Wes's instructions and contacted the platform for a refund. But there was another problem. The refund request was rejected because more than 3 months had already passed since the original payment. Dutch then got his bank involved in the entire situation. However, when the bank contacted Wes and his team, neither of them responded for a whole month. But eventually, Dutch got his money back. Another month later, I received my $1,500 charge back. Not because Wes and his support team agreed to it, but because they didn't respond to my bank at all for that month. So I received my refund by default. This overall situation only created more mess for Wes. When people heard about Dutch, many others also came forward with their almost similar experiences with Wes. But things became even stranger after the criticism started growing. I had a similar experience with Wes. He is the most narcissistic person I have ever spoken with. Really the rudest and most unpleasant person I have spoken with for a very, very long time. Whenever there was a negative or exposing post against Wes, several accounts would emerge in support of Wes. Many users noticed that a huge number of intensely positive posts were trying to undermine and bury all the negative reviews about Wes. Even under Dutch's post, there were a huge number of comments challenging his accusations, trying to imply that he was wrong. He did not scam you, you wasted his time, you were not there there on time, you break your commitments with excuses, you get half price and are still not happy. Some of the supporter accounts also threatened critics with lawsuits for defamation and slander, and with time, those accounts soon got suspended, which only raised more suspicions. At the same time, another major criticism of Wes kept growing louder: his physique. While his courses focused on fitness, weight loss, and discipline, many people noticed that Wes's entire body was the result of steroids, so it was highly unlikely for other people to achieve such a body just through workout routines and diet. Many fitness YouTubers also discussed this. In the year 2022, fitness creator Derek from More Plates More Dates deeply analyzed Wes's body and his physique, and concluded that he was using steroids. According to Derek More Plates More Dates, Wes actually looked far more natural and realistic during his prison years. Back then, his physique looked athletic, but still achievable. But after getting released from prison, Wes's body reportedly changed at an unbelievable speed. One of the biggest things that happened with Wes's body was that he gained around 40 pounds between 2017 and 2018, and then all of a sudden his body started to look abnormally ripped and huge, which of course couldn't be achieved with just plain workouts. And while the steroid accusations were already damaging enough, things became far worse for Wes in 2026. In March 2026, Wes found himself trapped in another controversy. This time it was about a physical on his 28-year-old girlfriend named Megan. A YouTuber, Daddy Well, shared this. According to the video, Megan had arrived at the hospital with serious injuries. The YouTuber claimed that the fight had started after Megan went to a basketball game with a friend. When Wes saw her there, he started threatening and calling her. Later, when the two allegedly met in person, the argument reportedly escalated into physical violence. According to the allegations, Wes became extremely aggressive.
Problem. He also threatened other members of her family, saying that they were also going to be done for. He was saying things like he was going to her off of her body since he decided to pay for them. And so Megan kept telling him she didn't want to go. She did not want to go to Wes's house, but since he was threatening her and threatening other members of her family, she decided to go.
While Megan was allegedly crying, screaming, and asking for help, people around Wes reportedly did nothing to stop it, even though security staff and some of Wes's own associates were allegedly present during the incident. Afterward, Megan reportedly went to the emergency room with visible injuries and bruises. For many people online, the allegations immediately brought back memories of Valerie's earlier accusations against Wes. Wes was arrested on March 17, 2026, and charged with robbery without a weapon, felony battery, and aggravated assault, and he stays in that prison to this day. In the end, the self-proclaimed motivational leader became a warning sign himself, proof that no amount of muscles, money, or internet fame can hide the truth forever.